Evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Reading, Pennsylvania Zoning Hearing Board meeting for Wednesday, May the 14th, 2025. I'm going to introduce the members of the board. Jared
Bartz, member of the board.
Charlie,
Charlie Jones, member of the board.
Tom
Fox, member of the board.
Jeff
Gatone, member of the board.
Emily.
Emily Diaz-Melendez with the zoning office.
I'm Phil Rubina, acting chairperson, member of the board. Steve
Price, solicitor to the board.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are going to render decisions on two appeals we heard last month. And the first appeal was 2503-0011, and that was 1139 North 13th Street. Mr. Price.
Is there a motion to approve the relief requested subject to the conditions set forth in the written decision?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Ayes have it, unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Appeal 2503-0012.
Is there a motion to approve the relief requested subject to the conditions set forth in the written decision?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, thank you. All right, this evening we have three appeals to be heard. We're going to begin with Appeal 2504-0013. This is 131 North 6th Street. Mr. Abreu is seeking special exception approval to expand the area of a previously approved daycare facility. The property is located in the CR zoning district, and the owner of record is Reading Medical Development, LP. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Emily, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Has notice for this appeal been given?
It has.
Thank you. Mr. Price.
Thanks. I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Okay, thank you. And I believe they are represented by counsel. Is that correct, Ms. London?
That is correct. I'm representing Nirka Abreu.
Okay, so we'll have you enter your appearance and you can do an offer of proof as you usually do. And if you're going to have anybody testify, we can swear them in at this point.
Okay, Ms. Abreu is present. I saw her in the participants, so she'll need to be sworn. Is there an interpreter present?
No.
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 Okay, I didn't fill out the application. I thought she'd ask for one, but I believe she can be sworn and understand.
That's fine. Okay.
Would you like me to swear her in now?
Yes, please do.
Okay. Ma'am, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
New York, if you can unmute yourself and raise your hand to be sworn in. Unmute yourself.
Emily, you're fluent in Spanish, right?
Sí, tiene que quitarle para tu micrófono.
Okay, she's still muted. That's why you can't hear her.
Yeah, because I see her name on the call, and I
Yes,
see that she's muted.
Well, why don't you just proceed,
Why don't I
Joan?
just
and-
proceed? First, I'll enter
Yeah.
my appearance. Joan, middle initial E, London, London, Kozloff Stout, 2640 Westview Drive, why I'm missing 19610. If asked to testify, Nirka Abreu would testify that she is the tenant of space on the lower level and ground floors of the building at 131 North Sixth Street, also referred to as 145 North Sixth Street. It's the former Community General Hospital building owned by Reading Medical Development LP. On September 11th, 2024, a special exception was granted to permit a daycare for up to 99 children. It would be a state licensed child care center operating 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. I ask that the decision of September 11th, 2024, as well as the state license for the operation of a daycare center or child care center that had been submitted with that application heard last August for the September decision, be incorporated into tonight's record. And also I ask for judicial notice as to both items.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you. And the same conditions would we acknowledge continue to apply if this request for expansion were granted. This is an application for special exception. In the event that the board would find that this expansion is more than 25% of the building floor area of the use, I'm going to ask that the application be amended to seek also a variance from section 600-1201C1. As a percentage of the total building and lower level and second floor areas as a whole, it is less than 25%. And the phase 3 expansion, there are two plans that are before the board, is 21%. So in the event that the phase 2 expansion or the combined is found to be more than 25%, we are asking that the application be deemed amended.
All right.
Okay,
Granted.
All right, thank you. There will be no expansion of building height or footprint. That will not occur, so there will be no effect on adjacent properties. It's strictly expansion within the building. The expansion per the staff report is to allow up to an additional 175 children, not all there at the same time, however. The issue of drop-off and pickup was resolved last month between the city and Ms. Abreu, and that will be orderly and an agreed upon manner, Porto de Cachere. That would be staggered through the day and evening hours, so there should be no traffic hazards or congestion. It was specifically planned for that. The addition is shown in plans for phases 2 and 3, including number of occupants per classroom and activity area based on state regulations of so many square feet per infant, toddler, or school-age child. And that was in the testimony for the first hearing, which we understand continues to apply. Could the zoning officer please turn to first page A1.0 for phase 2 and share the screen so that the board can see the plans and the expansion area?
You're good. Yeah. Yep.
Which page, Joan?
It is A.1.0. Okay, there it is. And looking at page A.1.0, and this is for the phase 2 expansion for the first floor. Or, I mean, for the what is the ground floor, the basement floor, lower level. The dotted lines are showing the expansion area. And it shows the classrooms that are being added. There are 6 classrooms being added, and these are for toddler, school-age children aged 6 through 8 and 9 through 12. And there's also storage space and an activity room and a study room that's being added. The study room is being added so that the school-age children are able to do homework. There's restroom space being added. On page LS 1.0 of these plans, which is the second page in after the cover sheet. If the board would look at section chapter 10, means of egress, section 1004, it shows the classrooms, the square footage of each classroom, and the number of occupants that are permitted under the State Department of Public Welfare regulations. This page also shows egress information and compliance with the International Existing Building Code, the International Building Code, and accessibility and fire regulations. As this is basement level, there are staircases going out to the street level, which are shown on the plans. Similarly, if the zoning officer could go to the phase 3 plan, also page A-1.0. The area in the dashed line is the expansion area there as well. And that shows school age expansion area for toddler and school age children, class area, as well as a kitchen and a food prep area and some additional storage space for the daycare center use. The phase 2 extension area as a whole for the basement is 8,848 square feet. And the expansion area for phase 3 is 3,549 square feet extension. Again, on sheet LS1, if Emily, if you could turn to LS1. Okay. If you look at LS1, that similarly shows the occupancy, accessibility, and fire and egress compliance. And it is in the tables section 1004. To go into the elements for special exception, the neighborhood the traffic, again, we discussed traffic. Parking is not an issue because it is a commercial use in a CR district. The neighborhood itself is a commercial and institutional use neighborhood that there's little or no residential use that would be disturbed. There would be no negative impacts. Again, the conditions, the limiting conditions that were attached to the approval in September are also attached to this expansion if it's granted. And the expansion, not only will it have no negative impacts on the area, it is needed to accommodate demand for 24-hour-a-day daycare, and daycare that's not for those working traditional 9 to 5 shifts, which is necessary for economic development of our Berks community. That is my presentation. I see that Ms. Abreu was on the screen. Could you attempt to swear her in now?
Can you
Yes,
raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
que le levante la mano derecha.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
sí, yes,
Okay. Ms. Abreu, were you present on Zoom and hearing my presentation and reasonably understanding it?
yes,
And if you had been asked questions, would your answers have been what I had stated?
yes,
Okay. And if the special exception were granted, would you agree to continue the conditions attached to the earlier approval?
yes.
I don't have anything further for Ms. Abreu.
Okay. We're going to start with members of the board. Jared, do you have any questions of our?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Mr. Jones, Charlie?
No, I have none.
Okay. Tom,
No questions.
Jeff?
No questions?
Okay. I have no questions. We got a lot of good information. Mr. Price?
I don't have any.
Okay. Emily, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. All right. Anybody in the audience have any questions of this applicant? Seeing none, we'll move on. Emily, do you have anything else you would like to add?
No, just that the applicant has been very agreeable to, city comments. They did attend a one-stop. They're in communication with the building and trades departments. They have their plans in, so we appreciate their efforts.
Thank you. Mr. Price, any comments, questions?
No, I mean, it's only a half a block from my office and I haven't seen any impact, and I haven't heard any complaints from any business owners in the area, so that's all.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure whether the plans had been submitted with the application, so in the interest of caution, I'll just move for the admission of the plans as applicants exhibits 1 and 2 for phases 2 and 3.
All right, they're admitted.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, now, is there anybody in the audience that would like to testify for the granting of this appeal? Seeing none. Anybody in the audience wish to testify against granting this appeal? Again, seeing none. So if nobody else has anything to offer, we'll close this appeal. Our decision will be reached at next month's meeting. You need not be present. The decision will be mailed to you. And we thank you again for providing us with some very good information. And that closes this appeal.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank
Okay,
you. Good night, Joe.
Right.
all right. The next appeal. 2504-0014, 101 North 5th Street. Berkshire 2 Real Estate Holdings LLC is seeking a variance to permit parking in excess of the maximum 300-foot distance from the subject property. In addition, the applicant is seeking a reaffirmation of the zoning hearing board's decision of appeal number 2020-18 and 2022-13. The owner of record is the applicant. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Emily, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, has notice for this appeal been given?
It has.
Okay, Mr. Price.
Thanks. I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments, and exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Okay,
Pardon me.
thank you. Now, is the applicant represented by counsel?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is William Dion on behalf of the applicant. I apologize. I'm having trouble with my camera this evening and I cannot turn it on. So if you'll just trust me that
We'll trust you. We'll trust you are who you are. Okay.
Yes.
Let's
Can I?
do this.
I'm sorry.
If you want to do an offer of proof, like we did with the last application, you can. And we'll let you enter your appearance. And if you're going to have anybody testify, we'll try to swear them in at the same time. It just keeps things moving.
Sure. So there should be Jake Hoffman, who's with Lexington Company, the property management company for the applicant. If he's here, if he could be sworn in, Jay.
I'm here.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay.
For the record, my name is William T. Dion. T as in Todd. Dion is D-I-O-N. I'm with the law firm of Silverang, Rosenzweig, and Holtzman, which is at 900 East 8th Avenue, Suite 300, King of Prussia, PA 19406. And as I stated, I am here representing this evening Berkshire Room number 2 Real Estate Holdings LLC, which is both the owner of the property and the applicant. The property itself is located at 101 North 5th Street. And then sometimes it is also referred to 501 Washington Avenue. The property is zoned CC Commercial Core, and it's also in the Callow Hill Historic District. The current use of the property, and actually, the building itself, the property, it's commonly known as the Berkshire Building. So that probably helps everyone know exactly where it is. The property is currently mixed use. It's commercial and retail on the first floor with 79 apartments above. It's under renovations right now as we speak. As far as the past zoning history on this property has been before the zoning hearing board on 2 previous occasions, once in 2020 and once in 2022. In particular, the zoning hearing board rendered decisions titled 2020-18 and 2022-13. And I would just ask that the judicial notice be taken of both of those previous decisions.
Certainly.
Again, just the relief that's sought tonight is really twofold. And the reaffirmation is also a clarification on the board's intentions or previous decision. Back in 2020 and decision 2020-18, a special exception was granted along with some variances to permit the conversion of the Berkshire Building from its existing commercial and professional offices that were vacant at the time, and to allow for a mixed use with commercial and retail on the first floor with 56 apartments, residential apartments up above. There was testimony at that hearing of the intended market for the property. It was going to be to students and to the general population. And that relief was granted, and the board found that it was not a detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the city of Reading. Then in 2022, in decision 2022-13, the board reaffirmed its previous decision of 2020-18 as the applicant at that time increased the number of residential units from 56 to 79. And the decision in both 2020-18 and 2022-13 were the conditions of approval were 16 in total, but they were identical. Since that time, in both board matters, so it was also stressed that it would be for students mostly from Alvernia University and actual residents of the township. Then, since that time, the applicant has gone through the approval process with the city of Philadelphia to obtain all the approvals, water and sewer capacity, and really comply with all 16 conditions that were in the previous zoning hearing board decisions. Believing that they had satisfied those, they ultimately submitted demolition permits, and while they closed on the property, submitted permits, both demolition and building permits. Those were issued, and they've been under construction for quite some time. And this issue first arose when they sought to obtain a use and occupancy permit for the first apartment that they were going to rent out. And at that time, the question arose because the tenant was not going to be a student, exactly how off-street parking was going to be handled. In our reading of the past decisions, we believed that the zoning hearing board, in its discretion granted under section 600-1202A3 of the City of Reading zoning ordinance, where it provides, and I'll read specifically, the zoning hearing board, as part of the special exception approval, may grant reasonable modifications to specific dimensional, parking, and sign requirements that are necessary to allow reasonable reuse of the building. It goes on to say a little bit more, but the most pertinent part is the parking. And in conditions 7A6 of both decisions, it read, satellite or off-site parking opportunities shall be considered in order to accommodate the students, residential tenants, visitors, and patrons during peak hours of operation. And the applicant, sought out different off-site parking spaces, and has since, and Mr. Kaufman will be able to testify to, or he would testify that he has an agreement with the Reading Parking Authority that I'll have you mark as an exhibit, Emily. I did send it to you previously, but I'll mark all the exhibits at the end. That they did acquire parking at the, probably mispronounced a little bit, the Shirelli parking garage that is at 3rd and Washington. But I guess the confusion that resulted when the use and occupancy permit was went to be obtained was, how do we deal with the past decisions and what is technically required for off-site parking when it just says, the decision says considered? And the question was, well, how many parking spaces? And then also, how far away? So we saw it in the alternative, if this board determines that some parking, off-site parking is required, that we would need a variance from section 600-1603 capital I, that requires all off-site parking to be within 300 feet of the property. The staff memorandum measured it as 933 feet. We were a little bit under that on our measurements, but obviously the parking garage at 3rd and Washington is where we have our agreement with the parking authority. Mr. Kaufman would testify that he has spoken to Mr. Excuse me, I get his name. Mr. John McCloskey at Alvernia University. Mr. McCloskey has authored a letter dated May 8, 2025, that I will also mark as an exhibit as we get to the end, expressing a desire to have students rent at this facility. It is very close to their offices or their campus, or their satellite campus in downtown Reading. And also that he's toured the facility and is excited to steer students and staff to, and graduate students to, this facility with its modern improvements. But it's at a critical time because students, obviously with the school year ending, they're trying to secure housing for next year, and really it needs to come online pretty quickly. And for our sake, it probably came at the worst time, this issue arising when we're trying to get UNOs and we think we're about to move people in. So we're really at a critical point to be able to have it open for operation. Mr. Kaufman will also testify to his dealings with the Reading Parking Authority. The agreement is basically, negotiated. They've signed it. We're waiting for some direction from this decision to find out exactly how many parking spaces are necessary. I do see that the staff and its staff report dated May 14th. And I'm not sure if you mark this as an exhibit, Mr. Price, but if not, I would mark it as an exhibit. And they recommended at least one space per unit be provided, which would be 79 in total. The agreement with the parking authority is 479 with the ability to increase it if necessary. We think that is more than adequate based on who we believe will rent here. And then Mr. Kaufman would testify that the critical stage that we're at as far as having the units essentially completed. We were looking to moving a number of people in short order after spending years renovating the building. This was somewhat unexpected and problematic for us. So he would discuss also, he would talk about the ability to find other parking in and around the area. Obviously, it's the core of Reading. There's not many opportunities and for a large amount of parking spaces, and the arrangement with the Reading Parking Authority seemed to be a win-win for everyone. If the relief was not granted, then really the property itself has no ability to park on it because the current improvements in the historic Berkshire building take up the entire property. It is the minimum relief necessary because we believe that a large portion of the property will be rented to students who will have either no cars or cars on campus. And Alverni, it's our understanding, has a relationship with the Reading Parking Authority to park its students at the same parking garage. So it would be a logical kind of cross use between the university and the Berkshire apartments. And ultimately would say that it was not granting this relief would not change the character of the neighborhood, which would really mirror the zoning hearing board's past decisions that the conversion of the Berkshire building from commercial and professional office to commercial, retail, and apartments would further the goals of the city of Reading and would not be a detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the residents. So that's my offer of proof and kind of legal basis. I can mark some exhibits if you like.
Yeah, just give me a second. I think there's some to the board. I think there in the audience in general, there is a movement to loosening up on this linear distance to off-street parking. The Shirelli garage, just in my humble opinion, is radically underused. This building has gone through some permutations. The Berkshire building has gone through some changes. It was going to be students, then it was going to be market. Now it's kind of going to be a hodgepodge, half market, half students. But if they can provide the off-street parking as recommended by the zoning administration and enter into a lease agreement for 79 spaces at the Shirelli parking garage, it probably satisfies the prior two decisions and makes the Berkshire building a lot more viable and makes the Shirelli parking garage a lot more viable.
Thank
And Steve,
you.
I appreciate the one thing that I guess I just want to close on is I was going to make the request that the board render an oral decision tonight, only because if we wait till the June meeting, we're concerned that we're going to continue to lose the opportunity to grab students for the 2025-2026 academic year as they get nervous that we can't deliver and sign leases. I know that might not be your protocol, but that would be a request because we are in a somewhat critical point.
Well, I can tell you that the board will probably have a workshop within the before Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
And I could let you know whether what their decision will be voted on in June, and you could move ahead accordingly with that information.
And then, Steve, that would be fine as long as Emily and the staff knows that, and that the UNOs can be issued. That would be enough for us. So anything that can be done to.
We try to be user friendly and accommodate things, but the board generally does not want to do a decision on the night of the application.
Understood. I respect that. I do. And ultimately, if anything you can do to provide as quickly as possible would be great. And especially if you're just reaffirming the old decision and that this document does satisfy that, I guess ultimately just as long as staff knows it and we can start issuing permits, we can start locking up some of these students for this next academic year.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now, members of the board, any questions of the individual that just testified, Mr. Dion? Jared, any questions?
No, I do not.
Charlie,
No, I don't.
Tom?
Yes, two questions. Is the plan for the apartments, the layout, the same as we received 2 years ago, or has there been a change? Because I did not see on the current material, I might have missed it, any plot plan for the size of the apartments.
No, we are not making any changes to the apartments. It is still the 79 units that was presented to the board in 2022.
And the other question, could you be a little more specific? I know you don't know, but exactly what percentage do you think would be market rate other than students?
You know, I'd have to, at that point, I'd have to ask Mr. Kaufman to address it, and maybe I can just real briefly make him affirm that all the things that I said are true and accurate, and then he can answer that specific question, if that's okay.
That's fine.
So Jay, you heard my presentation to the zoning hearing board, and I'm assuming you were present and able to hear everything during on Zoom. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And is everything that I represented to the board true and accurate?
Absolutely, yes.
Is there anything that you think you would want to add to that or elaborate on or change from what I represented to the board?
No.
Okay, now you've heard the question from the one board member. Can you, in your reasonable judgment, at least the marketing and leasing interest so far, have a rough idea of what you might find as it shakes out? And let's assume, Jay, for this purpose, that you can still, I know this may change next year as you have the opportunity to capture the students earlier, but if you were able to move forward with leasing pretty quickly and still capture students for the 2025-26 academic year, do you have an idea of what you think the breakdown might be, at least for the first year? And then maybe, you know, once you have more time with students, maybe it increases in the years to come.
So we don't have idea offhand. I mean, we did meet with the president of Alvernia on site. We showed him around their complex. We showed him around their property, and he was very happy about it. And he did show expressed a lot of interest. And he said he has a lot of graduating students and faculty that would be interested. We don't have a rough number or any way to get a number on that, but there seems to be a large amount of interest from the college, and have a strong interest that they're still showing, very strong interest that they're showing on our property.
Okay, thank you. All right, Jeff, do you have any
No
questions?
question, no questions.
Okay, I don't have any questions at this time.
Let's just put
Emily?
into the record the exhibits that Mr.
Yeah.
Dion had.
Yeah, if I can,
Right.
if I can mark as exhibit A1, which would be the letter from Alvernia, John McCloskey that I referenced, and Emily, I provided that to you previously. I saw you pull up on the screen. It is dated May 8th, 2025, and it is addressed to the City of Reading's Zoning Hearing Board. Attention, Philip Radman, Chairman. And then the second exhibit would be exhibit A2, which is an agreement with the Reading Parking Authority. It is not dated as of yet, but it is signed by Lexington Realty International, the property management company, and it was signed on April 15th, 2025, and it provides for 79 parking spaces to be allocated, and they would be assigned to them, and they would be striped. So individual tenants would be given individual parking spaces. It's not going to be at large. And that would be, once we have confirmation, we'll get it signed by the Reading Authority and present it to the zoning officer.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, Emily, any questions, comments?
Just general comments. The city as an entity is, as everyone knows, looking towards economic development in the downtown area, and the city core. There was a parking study done a little bit ago that does state what was stated before, that the parking lots that the RPA operates in the downtown area are underutilized. So plenty of parking in the lots. And we are looking at amending some of our parking requirements. How that's going to shape out to be, not exactly sure, but we are looking at extending the maximum distance from a property that parking can be at in the downtown. So those were just general comments on what the city is looking at moving forward. And we appreciate their efforts in at least trying to provide some parking for their tenants.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Price, comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman.
All right. Now, does anybody in the audience have any questions of Mr. Dion or Mr. Kaufman at this time? Just questions. This has nothing to do with whether you like it or don't like it. Anybody? Okay. Mr. Schuman?
Yes, you open for comments?
Yes, I said, if you have any questions of the two people that just testified.
I do not have questions. I have comments.
Okay, all right, then we'll get to that next. All right. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to testify for granting the application? Seeing none. Anybody in the audience wish to testify against granting the application?
I have some comments.
Okay, would you be sworn in, please? Give your name and address, and we'll swear you in.
Sir, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to
Yeah.
tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Schuman.
Yay, thank you very much. I provided the zoning hearing board with a letter that I had previously provided back on February of 2022, stating that there was an issue with all these groups coming in front of the zoning hearing board and the planning commission, stating that Alvernia students were going to move in. This group, as well as several others, represented, and you can go back through the minutes of those meetings, that the entire buildings were going to be Alvernia students. In the letter that I sent at that time, I said that was completely unreasonable. We have 200 brand new residential units in the downtown for which we provided parking as required by the parking authority at 1.5 spaces per unit. Out of all those 200 units, we have exactly 6% of them that have Alvernia students in them. Alvernia only has 60 foreign exchange students. At 2 per unit, that's 30 units total in the downtown. If every one of them would live in the downtown, and they have the right to live wherever they want. So it's completely unreasonable to think that these buildings are going to be filled up with that. Now, with that said, I fully expect the zoning hearing board to approve this, as they've kind of backed themselves into a corner, maybe not due to your own fault, but due to failures of the community development office. The letter I provided as a response from the CD office that says that your in-house due diligence is being done by Hawk Valley Associates and others to confirm that Alvernia actually has students that are going to be going into these units. That was never done. And that is why you find yourself backed in this situation. And you've got a developer here who spent roughly $10 million developing a building that now has to have a waiver done, a variance for zoning, when it could have all been easily avoided up front. 18 months ago, I sold a parking lot less than 300 feet from this building that has 145 parking spaces in it. I had approached a broker for this building. He told me there was no interest because it was not required. That is a failure on the part of the city. It's a failure on the part of the zoning office and the community development office, and something that could have easily been resolved to keep this variance from ever having to come in front of the board. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr.
thank
Chairman.
you. Thank you for your participation. All right. If nobody has anything else to offer, I'm going to close this appeal. We'll issue a decision at next month's meeting, keeping in mind the time press that you're under. We'll take that under consideration when we're working on this. I can't promise we will or we won't, but it's something that we will keep in our thoughts. We'll issue the final decision next month's meeting. You need not be present. The decision will be mailed to you, and we thank all of you for your participation.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're more than welcome. All right, this is the last appeal for this evening. It's 2504-0015 and 0015, and then it's 1420 and 1430 North 13th Street. SI Holdings, the Ninth LLC, is seeking special exception approval for adaptive reuse to convert a former dormitory into 38 apartments. A reduction in the number of off-street parking spaces is requested as part of the special exception request. In the alternative, the applicant would seek a variance to reduce the minimum required number of parking spaces. The owner of record is the applicant. Okay, would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Emily, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Has notice for this appeal been given?
It has.
Mr. Price?
I'll put some exhibits into the record. Pardon me. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant represented by counsel?
Yes.
Okay, at this point, you can introduce yourself, and if you're going to have anybody testify, we can have them sworn in at this point, and then you can do an offer of proof as we did with the other two, and then we'll ask whatever questions are relative.
Thank you very much. My name is Alex Elliker. My address is 316 West Main Street, Kutztown, PA 19530. I'm the attorney for the applicant. Elliker spelled as it's popped up, Elliker. I have approximately, I don't think we'll need to go through all of them, but I have 4 professionals available to testify if need be. So if we could just knock them all out now,
Yes.
that would be Ryan Spack on behalf of the owner, which is the SI Holdings IV LLC. I have Aristides Otero, who's our project manager, Jesse Smith, who's our architect, and Greg Boja, who's our engineer and performed the parking study here.
Okay, do you want to swear them in, please?
Can you all raise your right hands, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
I do.
All right, you can make your presentation.
Thank you, and thank you for having us this evening. I'll try to make it brief and efficient since we're the last in the line here. I'll make an offer of proof as pretty much as what's outlined in our zoning application addendum of how we've presented it. What we're dealing with here is 2 parcels that are actually together, both under the same ownership. We have a approximately 100-year-old 4-story building. It was previously used by Albright College as dormitories. It had approximately around 124 beds. It's been vacant since 2023. My client purchased the property in 2024. We're in the R2 district. Because it was used by the college, the city has accepted that this was an institutional use. And so therefore, since we're in the R2 district, it's permitted to do the adaptive reuse of the building as a multifamily apartment building with 38 apartments. And so this is actually permitted by special exception to be able to do it here. And as part of that, there's a specific subsection in there that's, I believe it's section 600-1202.A.10.C, allows the applicant to seek a reduction of the parking and or loading space requirements as part of the special exception application. Now, if ultimately you guys don't want to review that as part of that, we just made the thorough alternative suggestion that we would request a variance from the parking requirements, but ultimately we feel that this all fits under the special exception side of this. As to kind of go over the building specs, again, 1930s building, it's this unique Spanish revival style. We're going through a process to get some historical designation with it. We're going to have 38 apartment units that are all pretty not small, but standard sizes, that it's broken down as 9 studios, 23 one-bedroom, and 5 two-bedroom. I believe as part of our application, we have an attachment that goes through all the square footages that are in compliance with the zoning ordinance. The parking setup is the kind of second parcel overall. I think it's about 0.42 acres, and one parcel's 0.18, one parcel's 0.24, or approximately those numbers. And the current parking setup wasn't designed the best way. It's got approximately 12 spaces, and we're actually proposing to redevelop it so that we can squeeze in 21 parking spaces there. Under the zoning ordinance, because we have 38 units and the zoning district we're in, we need 1.5 parking spaces per unit if we're strictly following the code, which would mean we need a total of 57 parking spaces. So the site is currently non-conforming because it had 124 dormitory beds. It only had 12 spaces. We're actually proposing to increase it. The professionals that we have as part of this project would be able to testify in regards to that we're not going to be creating any traffic congestion or undue concentration of population, no impairment of the light or air issues or public safety issues, and this wouldn't be detrimental to adjacent properties. We'd have the adequate safeguards, comply with the other zoning ordinance requirements, and it would be appropriate for parking, traffic, stormwater, pollution, noise, and those types of possible nuisances that you would consider as part of this. This certainly would go towards the city's goal of adding more residential units in the city. We also have gotten support from both the College Heights Council, and I believe there's an individual that may testify in support of that this evening. And their letter that was issued in January certainly goes to why they feel this is appropriate and why they supported this, even being in close proximity to the project. We've also received support from Albright College. Ultimately, as part of them removing dormitories from this building, they have more of a concentration of having students on campus and not at this location. And certainly that's going to help with the parking arrangements. But ultimately, on the professional side, we had Greg Boja, our engineer here, perform a parking study that we also attached, that his ultimate conclusion was there's sufficient parking in the area. So that, I believe that's an efficient offer of proof of ultimately what our team would present to you tonight. We're looking to make this a appropriate, good use of this building. We don't want it to sit vacant. It's a beautiful 100-year-old building, and it's the appropriate use for this is some kind of residential use. And compared to having 124 dormitory beds, changing it into 38 apartments with increased parking, we feel is appropriate. And we've gone through our due diligence with the neighbors and with the area to make sure our neighbors and our neighborhood like the project and are proceeding accordingly. So I'll certainly would have any of our professionals available for any questions, and also kind of confirm that all of that offer of proof is accurate to their knowledge and belief.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Elicker.
All right, we'll see if we have any questions here. Jared, any questions?
I don't have any questions yet.
Charlie?
No, not at this time.
Tom?
Having read the report that I looked at this afternoon, I think it cleared up any questions I might have had concerning parking, so I have no questions.
Jeff?
Just a little question about a college graduate that informed me that the building, an Albright graduate, informed me that the building had an elevator. In your plans for this building, are you going to maintain an elevator in there, or an improved one, or eliminate elevator?
Ryan, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. To the board members, thank you for the opportunity to present what is going to be a rejuvenated property. As part of our application to the state of Pennsylvania for historic designation, we actually have affirmed and have been approved for the first phase of that designation that the historic car that exists for the elevator will be kept and renovated. We are, however, modernizing that car with a new motor, a new track, and an entirely new computer system so that it meets the current state code for residential elevators. But the original car, the original doors, the original fire doors, they are all staying in place.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess the only question I have is, due to the number of apartments, you find yourself in this parking situation, plus, of course, the way the land is. Have you ever thought about reducing the number of apartments by making some of them larger to get a little bit closer to what the parking requirement is?
I can answer that. It's a fantastic question. And yes, we actually had this conversation internally, both from a design standpoint and from a marketing standpoint. Right now, if you look at College Heights as a community, and you look at the available housing that is there in that community, the rental units that are available are mostly single family homes, and they range in size from 3 to 5 bedrooms. What you don't see in College Heights is starter units, 2-bedroom apartments, 1-bedroom apartments. They're non-existent. The real estate that exists in that marketplace happens to be mostly single family. It's not a lot of density. It is one of the larger, more dense properties in that area. And what we were looking to do was to create housing that doesn't necessarily exist in that marketplace, and to conform to somewhat of the apartment layout and style that existed when the building first existed. The only additional units to this building than the original building that existed are those that are in the basement, where it's not a basement in the sense that it's underground. It's above grade, but the lower floor in this building was originally an indoor parking garage that was made for Model T cars back during the 1920s. And so those will add 4 apartments. And so if you look at what the original building was versus what we are doing, we're only really adding 4 units to what was originally in this property. What we didn't want to do was compete with the rental market that already exists there. And we wanted to create new housing for those that want to be in College Heights that don't need a 3 or 4 bedroom house. And so that was our thought process around how we got to the structure, the makeup of those units. One of the things that our architect can attest to is that we are keeping a majority of the original fire hallways. So some of the original hallways were kept by Albright College when they renovated this building in the 90s. We are keeping those same hallways. And so that kind of set up how the units could be laid out. It set up how many units we would have on floors 1 through 4. And so we are working with what was given to us. And so combine what we're working with and what was given to us with our marketing strategy, and you end up with the 38 units. Originally, we had 40. And in conversations with the city, we reduced it to 38, making some larger units to eliminate some of the studio apartments.
Well, thank you for going through that process for me. Appreciate it. Okay, Mr. Price, any question?
None.
Emily, questions, comment?
No, just the comment that, we appreciate they're taking our comments into consideration when doing this. It's always great working with Aristides. He's very familiar with our processes, and we're looking forward to this project.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Should I get my witnesses all just to kind of confirm everything was accurate as?
That would be fine. That would be great.
All right. So I guess just as a collective group, Brian, Aristides, Jesse, and Greg, can you confirm that you heard everything that I said and everything to your knowledge is accurate?
Yes.
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 All right. Anybody on the board have any questions or comments yet? All right. Seeing none. Okay. Anybody in the audience have any questions of any of the people that testified? All right. Seeing none. Anybody in the audience wish to testify for granting the application? Okay, Linda?
Hi, good evening, Zoning Hearing Board and everyone present. College Heights Community Council did issue a letter of support for this project. We were very pleased with the entire way Mr. Spack handled it, starting with coming to us while the plan was in the works and making modifications as suggested by the group. I think it's also important to add at this point that the property was built prior to the existence of zoning in 1957. So please take that into consideration. Another big thing to keep into consideration is when you speak about the parking needs, the properties located in the 1400 block of North 13th Street all have rear off-street parking. And in the 1500 block, there are 5 single-family homes, and those too have off-street parking. So, you know, we appreciate that Mr. Spack had the parking study done and showing that there are 120 parking spaces within 300 feet of the property. So I encourage you to support the project.
Thank you. I think that you should have your address put in there also.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1521 North 15th Street, Reading 19604.
Okay, thank you. All right.
And just briefly, obviously, I think we don't even need to go to the variance because you guys have the authority to consider the reduction of the parking requirements as part of the special exception. But ultimately, if you needed to go to the variance, the unique layout of this property and the non-conforming aspects of the parking are part of our hardship of what restricts us from providing a full 57 spaces on site.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Unless anybody has anything else to add, I'll close this appeal. A decision will be made at next month's meeting. You need not appear. And a decision will be mailed to you. And just kind of a general comment, somehow or another, the zoning board seemed to have gotten the reputation that we are the leader of causing all the parking problems in the city. And I think we kind of take exception to that because we worked very, very hard over the years to police this. And we also understand that you've got a 250-year-old city. So, you know, those two things don't always mix. And we've made some recommendations to the people in charge. And I think some of those recommendations may be heeded or whatever. But again, we thank you for a good presentation for all of these events tonight. And that closes our meeting. We'll see you the second Wednesday in May.